They say every time you sit at the blackjack table, the cards don't just test your luck, they test your patience, your discipline, your ability to stay calm when everything seems to be slipping away. Life works the same way. You don't lose because the universe wants to humiliate you, you lose because you're in training. Think about it. Every setback, every heartbreak, every disappointment, it isn't punishment. It's preparation. The world is sharpening you, toughening you, teaching you how to withstand the pressure before the moment you finally break through. But here's the hard truth. Most people tap out before they ever see the win. They get frustrated, they quit, they walk away from the table before the next card could have changed their entire game. That's why so few actually rise, because they mistake temporary loss for permanent defeat. Let me ask you, how many times in your life have you sworn that you were done, only to realize later that what felt like an ending was actually a beginning? How many times have you been blindsided by failure, and then months or even years later you look back and say, if that hadn't happened, I wouldn't be where I am today. Loss isn't the enemy. It's the weight room for your spirit. Every time you fall, life is spotting you, forcing you to build strength you didn't even know you had. But if you're not paying attention, if you only focus on the pain, you'll miss the deeper lesson hidden inside the loss. The people who win big in life are not the ones who never lose. They are the ones who use every loss as a lesson. Every failure is fuel. Every setback is strategy. They know that you don't beat blackjack by winning every hand, you beat it by outlasting the game. And right now, whether you see it or not, life is training you for your big win. That moment where all the practice, all the patience, all the resilience will come together and you'll realize every single loss was part of the plan. But before you can get there, you have to make a choice. Are you going to walk away, or are you going to stay at the table long enough to see what's waiting for you? Because let me tell you this, your breakthrough isn't coming when you're comfortable. It's coming when you've been stretched, broken, and tested and still refuse to quit. This is only the beginning of the story. The losses you faced, they're not wasted. They're compounding. They're setting you up for something bigger than you think. And when you see it, you'll never look at loss the same way again. Here's what most people never understand. Losing doesn't take away your strength, it reveals it. The reason the sting of failure cuts so deep isn't because you're weak. It's because you've been conditioned to believe that losing equals shame. But think about it, what if the loss you're avoiding is the very loss you need in order to grow? Life doesn't hand out victories to people who just show up. It gives victory to people who stay in the fire long enough to be reshaped by it. That's resilience, the quiet, stubborn refusal to bow down to defeat. The truth is, resilience doesn't look glamorous. It looks like sitting alone after everyone else has gone home, wondering if it's even worth it, and deciding, yes, I'm going to try again anyway. When you treat every loss as a teacher, the lessons compound. Each setback becomes a brick in the foundation of your strength. One loss teaches you patience. Another loss teaches you strategy. Another forces you to slow down and prepare differently. Soon, you start to notice you don't react the same way you used to. The things that used to break you no longer even scratch the surface. That's the power of preparation hidden inside failure. Just like an athlete doesn't train with light weights, life won't train you with easy battles. If you want to lift more, life flows more onto the bar. And yeah, it feels heavy, sometimes unbearable. But here's the mystery, you don't realize how strong you become until one day, the same weight that used to crush you suddenly feels light. Patience becomes your edge. Strength becomes your foundation. And what others call bad luck, you call training. You start to see what most people never see, that the very thing they're running from is the thing that would have made them unstoppable. But here's the catch. Resilience is a choice. Strength is a decision. Preparation is a mindset. You can either let the loss break you, where you can let it break open the next level of you. And the ones who win, they're not the ones who avoid falling. They're the ones who decide every single time they hit the ground, this is not where my story ends. And that's why when your big win finally arrives, it won't feel like luck. It will feel like the natural result of everything you've been carrying, learning, and enduring all along. Look at the people you admire, the ones who seem unshakable. What do they all have in common? It's not perfect luck. It's not a life free of pain. It's their relationship with loss. They treat it differently. Think about the single mother working 2 jobs, exhausted but refusing to give up because she knows her kids are watching. She's faced rejection. She's faced doors slammed in her face. But instead of letting that define her, she treats every no as a stepping stone toward the eventual yes. That's resilience in action. What? The entrepreneur who launches business after business, each one crashing harder than the last. Friends whisper behind their back, saying it's time to quit, time to be realistic. But what no one sees is that every failure carved out another layer of wisdom, another piece of strategy. Years later, when the big win finally comes, people call it overnight's success. But was it, or was it years of preparation disguised as loss? And then there's the man who thought his life ended when his partner left. Broken, bitter, lost in the fog of heartbreak. But instead of letting pain consume him, he learned patience. He found strength in silence, clarity in solitude. He built himself back up. And later, when love found him again, he was stronger, calmer, wiser, ready for it in a way he never would have been before. These stories aren't entrenched, they're everywhere. If you look closely, you'll see the same pattern. Every extraordinary victory was preceded by ordinary loss. Every powerful comeback started with a devastating fall. And here's what ties them all together: the people who rise don't just survive the storm. They study it. They learn from it. They let it rewire their mindset. They turn every broken moment into raw material for the future. Loss, in that sense, is never wasted. It's like a blacksmith's fire, it burns hot. It reshapes the metal. It makes the blade unbreakable. And you're in that same forge. Every setback is hammering out your weakness. Every disappointment is heating your resolve. Every failure is making you sharper. But here's the twist: you won't even notice the transformation till the day comes when life tests you again. And suddenly, you don't break where you used to. You don't fold as easily. You carry yourself with a quiet strength that can't be faked. That's when you realize every loss was secretly building the foundation for your win. So if you're hurting right now, if you're in the middle of the storm, don't confuse it with failure. It's just training. It's the slow, painful process of becoming someone who can't be shaken when the real test comes. Here's a truth that's hard to swallow: the person you dream of becoming cannot be born without loss. Read that again. The strongest, most resilient version of you is hidden behind the very things you're afraid to face. Think about it: comfort never created greatness. Easy paths never shaped legends. Every person who carries real power in their presence has walked through something that nearly destroyed them. And the reason they command respect without even saying a word isn't because they've never lost it, it's because they've survived what others couldn't. Loss is not just an event, it's a rite of passage. It strips away illusions, it cuts through ego, it removes the fragile layers you thought were you, and what's left? The core, the unshakable, the version of you that no storm can bend. Here's the paradox: without loss, you never know your strength. Without failure, you never build patience. Without disappointment, you never develop resilience. Loss gives you gifts that comfort could never deliver. Most people spend their lives trying to avoid pain, but in doing so, they avoid power. They cling to safety, to the illusion of control. to temporary wins. But those who step into the fire, those who dare to stay when everything is crumbling, they come out carrying something priceless, an identity forged in resilience. Ask yourself, who are you becoming because of what you've endured? Not in spite of it, but because of it. Are you the person who folds under pressure, or the person who rises scarred but unbroken? Loss forces you to choose. It can bury you, or it can build you. It can make you bitter, or it can make you unshakable. And that choice, that inner decision, is what separates the average from the extraordinary. Because here's the secret: when you survive enough losses, you stop fearing them. And that's where true freedom begins. You stop negotiating with fear. You stop waiting for approval. You stop living small. You realize you've already been through hell, and it didn't kill you. Suddenly, the risks that used to terrify you become opportunities. The challenges that once paralyzed you become invitations. And at that point, you don't just play the game anymore. You own it. You step into every room, the quiet knowledge that no matter what happens, you've already been tested and you're still here. That's the kind of strength no one can take from you. So, every time you feel the sting of loss, remind yourself, this isn't the end, it's the initiation. The loss is not proof of weakness, it's proof that you're being trusted with training for the kind of victory few will ever taste. Every loss you've faced has been whispering, "What, Ruth? You're being prepared for something greater." And when that moment finally comes, it won't look like luck. It won't feel like chance. It will feel inevitable, because deep down, you'll know every step, every scar, every sleepless night was training you for this win. But here's the thing: the big win isn't always about money, titles, or recognition. Sometimes the biggest win is peace of mind. Sometimes it's self-respect. Sometimes it's finally becoming the person you were meant to be, the one who doesn't just survive loss, but transforms it into unstoppable strength. That's why you can't give up now. Because right when the pain feels unbearable, that's usually when the breakthrough is closest. The problem is, most people quit before they reach it. They confuse the final test with permanent defeat. You're different. You're listening to this for a reason. Something in you knows that every trial you've been through wasn't random. You're not cursed, you're being sharpened. And one day soon, you look back at the storm you thought would end you and realize it was the very thing that built you. That's the moment of victory, not just winning the game, but realizing you've already won because you became unshakable. That's the power hidden inside every loss. Now, if you want to take this strength even further, don't stop here. Your journey doesn't end with surviving loss, it continues with building success. That's why I want you to watch the next video, How to Unlock Success. It's going to give you the tools, the mindset, and the habits to turn everything you've been through into lasting growth and unstoppable momentum. And before you go, if this message spoke to you, if it lit something inside you, subscribe to Wisdom Recorder, where we are your knowledge source. Hit the like button, join the community, and let's keep building strength together. Because remember, every loss is training for the big win, and yours is coming.